Dear, not really all that distant. I'm so glad you asked, and I miss you too. The answer to your question about resuming in-person congregational life and worship is a question with both a simple and a complex answer. The simple answer is, we don't know. The complex answer is, we're working on that. A few weeks ago, we put together a task force of Ascension members and staff with expertise in finance, education, healthcare, commercial cleaning, process management, and all of whom have a deep love and passion for Ascension. They met once in May and will meet again later this week. And their task is to review the best data that we can find from the federal, state, and local governments, from the CDC, from the ELCA, and from our synod. That's a lot of information to process. The Congregation Council has asked them to submit a report at their next meeting, Tuesday, July 9th. We are, of course, also considering ways to invite you into this conversation as we go forward, maybe Zoom meetings. We need more Zoom meetings. We'll let you know. For the sake of this conversation today, let's assume sort of two possible strategies going forward to reopening, one decisive and one more gradual. The decisive return suggests that we wait to resume in-person worship and congregational life until either a reliable vaccine has been developed or we attain herd immunity. While this would be the wisest decision from a perfectly physical health standpoint, waiting that long to fully restart could be detrimental to us all as a congregation and as individual disciples. A gradual restart. So think about the train that crosses Techney. When the freight train is stopped there and you're in a hurry to get somewhere, it takes a long, long time from the time the freight train engine starts to move until the last car comes down the line. Imagine that sort of gradual restart, taking small, slow, considered steps before we open fully. You saw that on Sunday. Directors of music Misha Zupko and Minkyu Shin, Vicar Julie Grafe, and I were in the sanctuary for the first time in 10 weeks to record worship, to see how it worked to be together and still to be safe. It was just a first step. Perhaps we will contemplate opening the building occasionally for small in-person meetings. Maybe we'll consider offering limited office hours, small little steps that will teach us how to take the bigger steps toward resuming. That said, the gradual resumption of weekday congregational life will not be that hard, but resuming in-person worship, that's a trick. And it is filled with thou shalt nots. For example, congregations are being advised that congregational singing and recitation, for example, saying the Lord's Prayer together, are the most efficient way to spread virus-laden droplets across a room and onto your neighbors at worship. Thus, at least initially, we will not be able to sing together or speak together in worship. Congregations are being advised that Holy Communion will need to be dramatically reimagined. No cup, individual or common. No bread laid in your hand. No proximity. Congregations are experimenting with all kinds of interesting ways. On the internet, I found these funky little individual plastic chalices, hermetically sealed, with wine or juice in the top and a chiclet-sized wafer on the bottom. Who knew? Congregations are being advised that physical distancing will have to continue until, as I said earlier, we have a reliable vaccine or have attained herd immunity. That will be true whether we have 10 people in the building or 50. And just consider, if we welcome people into the sanctuary under the 10-person rule, some of those 10 persons will be musicians, an intern, and me. That's not many worshipers, but a whole lot of work. Congregations are receiving conflicting advice about sanitation and use of public space. Some experts believe that all surfaces need to be disinfected immediately. Think doorknobs, bathroom sinks, the backs of pews. But more recent research suggests the virus may not linger on surfaces as we had once thought. The jury is still out about how and whether to do health checks at the front door. Who would be entrusted with that magical no-touch thermometer? Who would decide who gets to come in and who would have to say, "I'm sorry, you can't stay"? How much information would we need to receive from worshipers and guests in the event that we had to do contact tracing? Congregations are being advised that food and beverage service will simply not be happening for a long, long time. So, as much as I miss being together, I have to wonder what is gained by inviting small numbers of worshipers into Ascension Sanctuary if we cannot sing or commune or touch or share a cup of coffee or use the bathroom. I sometimes wonder if worshiping remotely is the wisest thing we can do, at least until phase 4, which ideally begins the end of June. But a return to full activity is not my decision alone to make. Sorry, there are a lot of thou shalt nots. But we also have some thou shalls. We shall consider health, physical, spiritual, emotional, and our congregation's financial health in all of our deliberations for our members and guests. We shall strive to make decisions that need not be reversed should there be a resurgence of COVID-19 cases this fall or winter. We shall continue to worship and to study and to plan and to pray and to care for our neighbors. We shall trust God's guidance and our leaders' wisdom. Thank you for your patience with this process, for your ongoing financial support of our ministry, for your commitment to our community partners. Thank you for worshiping with us and praying with us and singing with us and studying with us under these incredibly unusual circumstances. We will keep you up to date about discussions among our task force, staff, and leaders. We will invite you into those discussions as we go forward. And we remain close, even though physically apart. Because after all, the building is closed, but the church is not. I miss you. Or did I say that already? And please, keep asking.